Members, we have a quorum and it's the scheduled start time. I call to order the meeting. Item 1 on the agenda, confirmation of minutes of meeting. Minutes of the 26th meeting held on the 15th of June 2018. The minutes have been forwarded to members before the meeting. So far, members have not made any comments on the minutes. Can I invite members to confirm the minutes, please? Confirmed. Item 2 on the agenda, matters rising. Report by the chairman on her meeting with the Chief Secretary for Administration. There is nothing special to report. Item 3 on the agenda, business arising from previous council meetings. Legal Service Division report on bill referred to the House Committee in accordance with Rule 54(4). Can I invite the legal advisor to take us through paper number LS 72 briefly, please, on the amendment on the Employment Amendment Bill 2018. Thank you, Madam Chair. The bill is to increase paternity leave entitlement for male employees from 3 days to 5 days. After the bill is passed into law, then this arrangement applies to child born or after the commencement date. The Labour Advisory Board was consulted. The panel on manpower was consulted on the 19th of December 2017. If passed, the date of commencement will be appointed by the Secretary for Labour. Any member wishing to set up a subcommittee, Dr. Fernando Zhang, Mr. Ted Hui, and Dr. KK Kwok will join the Bills Committee. Please circulate papers, Secretariat. Item 4 on the agenda, further business for the Council meeting of the 27th of June 2018. Questions. Mr. Lam Chek Ting has replaced his original oral question. B. Government motions. The Secretary for Development and the Secretary for Labour and Welfare will respectively move 1. The proposed resolution under the Construction Industry Council Ordinance Cap 587 and the proposed resolution under the Pneumoconiosis and Mesothelioma Compensation Ordinance Cap 360. Item 5. The Chief Executive's question time on the 4th of July 2018. The Chief Executive's question time will be from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The regular council meeting on the 4th of July will follow immediately upon the conclusion of the question time. Item 6. Business for the council meeting of the 4th of July 2018. Questions. 8 questions. 22 questions have been scheduled, 6 oral and 16 written. B. Bills, first reading and second reading. 1. Evidence Amendment Bill 2018. 2. Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources Bill. The House Committee will consider these bills at its meeting on the 6th of July. C. Bills, resumption of debate on second reading, consideration by Committee of the Whole Council in third reading. Inland Revenue Amendments Number 6 Bill 2017. At the House Committee meeting on the 15th of June last week, members have no objection to the resumption of second reading debate on the bill. D. Government motion. No notice has been received yet. E. Members' motions. Ms. Claudia Mo's motion under the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance Cap 382. On that day, there are also 2 members' motions without legislative effect carried forward from previous council meetings. Mr. Ray Chan, yes, what is your point in relation to the agenda of the council meeting of the 4th of July? Well, for this motion, I sent a letter to the House Committee and I got a written reply as well. Please give me a bit of time at the House Committee so I could tell everybody about it. Now, I cannot overturn the ruling of Andrew Leung, but the criteria adopted would be crucial for moving amendments to members' motions in future. Well, Mr. Ray Chan, I've already replied to you. The President has made a ruling. If you have any questions on ruling, you can approach him directly. And before the meeting, I also found out from the Secretariat I also learned that the Secretary and the President have has explained the handling on motions amendments without legislative effect. Usually, liberal approach is adopted. Only the long title cannot be changed, but for all contents, usually they are all accepted. So there's always been a liberal approach. There's no special treatment for your motion. Let me speak quick as soon as possible, please. Yes, give me a minute or two. Now, for the motion, my motion is on studying the formulation of policies for homosexual couples to enter into a union. I have worded it broadly. I didn't mention any legislation or marriage or whatever. Dr. Priscilla Leung moved an amendment. He just struck out all the terms of entering into a union. That is, this council urges the government, and after that, she's completely rewritten my motion. It's not even the case that you have turned the meaning of my motion into an opposite one, but rather you take away my motion altogether. It's like if I ask the government to consider selling public rental housing and you struck out public rental housing altogether. And I need to mention an important point of concept. Now, the Secretariat said that they don't have the knowledge. Now, for equal rights for gender equality and homosexual marriage, just are two separate issues. Really, we're not going to debate homosexual marriage. Well, we had a subcommittee on eliminating gender discrimination, and when I talk about homosexual marriage, I was not allowed because it's reconsidered totally different. But this time around, Dr. Priscilla Leung has completely deleted all the relevant wording, so that's become a totally different motion. So is it possible that you could even change the theme of a motion? That's the point. Mr. Ray Chen, I think you've already given your views on amendments moved to your motion, so it's now put on record. But as I said before, I have considered very carefully your letter. Firstly, the President has already made a ruling, so the House Committee is not a forum for debating the President's ruling. Secondly, for amendments moved by members to motions, for all along, the Secretary has adopted a liberal approach in dealing with amendments to motions without legislative effect. So the only thing that cannot be changed is the subject or the long title of the motion. But in any case, your views have been put on record, and I'm sure we can all see that. If in future or later on, if members have any comments on the amendments to motions, I think that could be taken up at the Committee on Rules of Procedure. But it's nothing to do with the Committee of Rules of Procedure. Now, of course, the Rules of Procedure stated clearly that the subject cannot be changed. Mr. Ray Chen have already reminded you, if you have any queries on the President's ruling, please approach him. So that's the end of the conclusion. Let me read out one other sentence of the... No, I can't allow you to speak any further because your views have been recorded already. Ms. Claudia Mo, what is your point of order, please? I won't allow further discussion on this ruling. No, I'm not to debate the ruling. During the Jasper Zhang era, this is unheard of. Ms. Claudia Mo, if you continue to talk about this ruling, I have to stop you from speaking. This is unaccepted. This has to be taken up at the House Committee. It has to be taken up at the House Committee. We've already recorded Mr. Ray Chan's views. As I said before the meeting, I tried to find out from the Secretariat. There have been similar cases in the past. If you have any comments, please approach the President or the Secretariat after the meeting. So that's the end of discussion on this matter. Thank you. If I may remind you, there are 4 items of the legislation. Yes, Dr. K.K. Kwok, what's your point of order, please? Just now you mentioned several times the Secretariat, and Mr. Ray Chen here is talking about a fundamental issue. It will have bearings on all amendments to be moved in future. So I'm not going to take up too much time since the Secretary General is here. Can you confirm, please, what the Chairman said is true that it's happened before, and what sort of motions are we talking about? So we know exactly in future when we move motions and amendments how we should deal with them. Can we spend a minute or two on that, please? Please approach the Secretary after the meeting, because I really cannot allow you to discuss this matter any further. There are 4 items of subsidiary legislation. The deadline for amendment is on the 4th of July Council meeting. The list is tabled. If members wish to speak on those items, please indicate to the Secretariat before 5 p.m. on Tuesday, 26th of June. Item 7 on the agenda. Report of Bills Committee Subcommittee. Report of Bills Committee on Human Organ Transplant Amendment Bill 2018. Dr. Pt1, please. Thank you. Madam Chair, the Human Organ Transplant Amendment Bill 2018 seeks to amend the Human Organ Transplant Ordinance, HOTO, to expressly provide that a donor is not to be regarded as having given consent with the offer of inducement only because the donor's consent has been given in consideration of a proposed transplant into the donor's intended beneficiary under a paired or pooled donation arrangement. The Bills Committee has held 2 meetings. Members generally support the bill. Their primary concerns are on the details of paired or pooled donation arrangements, including the type of organs involved, whether private organizations or hospitals may make such arrangements, and whether such arrangements may induce some people to collect information of organ donors and then sell the information to patients. Members also expressed concerns if there are sufficient doctors and hospitals, and if manpower targets were set, and what about the relevant manpower training and development plans. Members also urged the administration to provide more resources to the promotion of organ donation. The administration explained that the bill does not specify the type of organs under a paired or pooled donation arrangement. Private organizations or hospitals may make the relevant arrangement, but they must obtain the prior approval of the Human Organ Transplant Board. HOTO prohibits commercial transactions on human organs intended for the purpose of transplant. The hospital authority, HA, will follow the developments of the paired or pooled arrangements in doctor training. If necessary, HA will provide additional resources to hospitals. The administration will also step up publicity and promotion on organ donation. The administration and the Bills Committee will not propose any amendments to the bill. The Bills Committee supports the resumption of the second reading debate on the bill at the Council meeting of the 11th of July. A written report will be submitted in due course. Thank you. If I may remind members, the deadline for moving amendments to the bill is the 30th of June, Saturday. B. Report of the Subcommittee on Proposed Resolution under Section 4, Bracket 5 of the Fatal Accidents Ordinance, Cap 22. Can I invite Mr. Holden Chow to speak, please? Thank you, Madam Chair. The subcommittee has held 2 meetings and has completed scrutiny of the proposed resolution put forward by the administration. Members support increasing the damages for bereavement sum from 150,000 to 220,000 Hong Kong dollars. Members, however, expressed disappointment that the relevant sum has not been adjusted since 1997. Members support in general the proposal for the administration to conduct reviews every 2 years of the bereavement sum in keeping with inflation trends. However, members also consider that there should be a comprehensive review of the bereavement sum to take into account other factors. Some members expressed concerns that the reference damages amount is not deterrent enough to those who cause fatal accidents. The bereavement sum also does not reflect the impact of the change in family structure on the family of the deceased. Some members are of the view that the bereavement sum should be substantially increased. Other members expressed concern about the type of defendants who are recognized under the Fatal Accidents Ordinance to claim damages. The administration was asked to provide the relevant information. The subcommittee supports the proposed resolution. The details of our deliberations will be set out in the report to be circulated in due course. The subcommittee notes that the administration will be giving fresh notice to move the proposed resolution at the council meeting of this 11th of July. Members note that Mr. Ted Hui has indicated that he will move a resolution to increase the bereavement sum. If I may remind members, if you wish to move amendments to the proposed resolution considered by subcommittee, the deadline is the 4th of July, Wednesday. C. Report of the Subcommittee on Subsidiary Legislation relating to the commissioning of the West Kowloon Station of the Guangzhou-Shenzhen Hong Kong Express Rail Link and gazetted on the 1st of June 2018. Can I invite Mr. Gary Chen to speak, please? Thank you, Madam Chair. This committee has completed scrutiny of the 3 pieces of substitute legislation relating to the anticipated commissioning of the West Kowloon Station WKS of the Guangzhou-Shenzhen Hong Kong Express Rail Link XRL in September 2018. Legal notices 109 and 110 are to specify the area within WKS of XRL, other than the WKS mainland port area, as detention centres for use by the Immigration Department, IMD. Legal Notice 111 is to specify that travellers arriving at WKS of XRL from a place outside Hong Kong must declare cash items in their possession in accordance with the Cross-Boundary Movement of Physical Currency and Bearable Negotiable Instruments Ordinance. The subcommittee has held a meeting with the administration on the 20th of June. Members questioned primarily that if WKS is to be commissioned this September as scheduled, the 3 pieces of substitute legislation will come into operation before the end of the negative vetting period instead of after the vetting period. Members questioned why there is a departure from the usual practice. Some members also expressed concerns about the area within WKS to which the subsidiary legislation applied, the arrangement for using MD's detention centres and law enforcement on board the train. The administration has advised that, as with other control points, MD needs to set up detention centres at WKS for carrying out entry and exit control and enforcement duties at the WKS control point. The Customs and Excise Department also needs to enforce cash declaration requirements at WKS. As XRL is anticipated to be commissioned in September 2018, the relevant substitute legislation has to come into operation on the commencement date of the Guangzhou-Shenzhen Hong Kong Express Rail Link Colocation Ordinance. The administration has pointed out that the 3 pieces of substitute legislation do not apply to the WKS mainland port area. Cars or passenger trains which are in operation are also regarded as falling within MPA. Thus, the committee will not move any amendments to the 3 pieces of substitute legislation and will submit a written report in due course. Thank you. Thank you. If I may remember, the deadline for moving amendments to the 3 pieces of substitute legislation is the 4th of July. So if members wish to move amendment, the deadline for giving notice is the 25th of June, Tuesday.
The report of the Subcommittee on Smoking Public Health Ordinance, Amendment of Schedule 2, Order 2018. I give the floor to Dr. Kwok Ka-ki, Chairman of the Subcommittee, to speak. Thank you. The Smoking Public Health Ordinance, Amendment of Schedule 2, Order 2018, made by the Secretary for Food and Health under Section 16A of the Ordinance, amends Part 1 of Schedule 2 to the Ordinance by designating the boarding areas and some adjoining facilities of the following 3 bus interchanges to non-smoking areas, and they are the Aberdeen Tunnel Bus Interchange, Lantau Toll Plaza Bus Interchange, and Two Moon Road Bus Interchange. The subcommittee has met with the administration once all members are supportive of the proposed designation. Deliberations of members cover the following. 1. How to facilitate the implementation of the smoking ban at the 3 bus interchanges. 2nd, whether it's feasible to extend non-smoking areas to cover all bus stops. And 3, publicity enforcement plan of the Tobacco Control Office and 3 bus interchanges. Deliberations of the subcommittee are set out in the report. I invite members to note the report. Thank you. E. Report of the Subcommittee on Practicing Certificate Solicitors Amendment Rules 2018. I invite Mr. Dennis Kwok, Chairman of the Subcommittee, to speak.
Completed scrutiny of the Practicing Certificate Solicitors Amendment Rules 2018 Amendment Rules. Details of its deliberations are set out in the report issued to members. The subcommittee has no objection to the amendment rules in general. When deliberating on the amendment rules, some members have raised concerns about the financial position of the Law Society, in particular the substantial surge in the Law Society's expenses owing to the exercise of its statutory power to intervene in the practice of law firms for the protection of the interests of the clients of the firms and the public. Some members have expressed concerns about the impacts that the Common Entrance Examination and the Law Society examination proposed and to be conducted by the Law Society will have on the Law Society's financial strength and operation, such as the expenses for relevant consultations, whether members have access to the findings of CEE consultation and the projected number of solicitors, and hence the fees for practicing certificates to be collected, as well as the Law Society's refusal to share the findings of CEE consultation with the Statutory Standing Committee on Legal Education and Training. The Law Society expressed that they would revert on members' queries in the meeting of the subcommittee on the 29th of May 2018. In its written reply, the Law Society admits that it has not released findings of the CEE consultation to the public or its members and has declined the SLLET's request for sharing the findings with them. The Law Society does not disclose the costs incurred for the CEE consultation and advises that as the proposed CEE and LSE are intended to be conducted on a self-funding basis, the financing in relation to examinations is not relevant to the amendment rules under consideration. As the chairman of this committee, it was regrettable that the Law Society refuses to send representatives to attend the meeting of the subcommittee on the 5th of June 2018 to provide further information and answer queries raised by members on this matter of relevance and public accountability, in particular to the use of practicing certificate fee collected and the transparency and operation of the Law Society. The panel on Administration of Justice and Legal Services on the 25th of June 2018 will have a more focused discussion on the CEE and the LSE under the agenda item of legal education and training in Hong Kong with the relevant stakeholders, including the Law Society. Thank you.
唔該，郭榮鏗議員。以前嘅第8項法案委員會同埋小組委員會嘅情況，請議員察悉至。
Thank you. Position on Bills Committee and Subcommittees. Please note that as at the 21st of June, we have 8 Bills Committee in operation, and there are 17 subcommittees under the House Committee and 4 subcommittees on policy issues in being active. There are 9 still waiting to be activated, and they are subcommittees on policy issues. Item 9. Election of members for appointment to the Investment Committee established under Rule 49B2A of the Rules of Procedure in respect of the motion to censure Mr. Hui Chi-Fil. In accordance with 73A of the Rules of Procedure, there should be 7 members in the committee, including a chairman, a deputy chairman, and 5 members. And we will have to elect members for appointment to the subcommittee. According to our agreement, on the 8th of June, the meeting of House Committee of June, we have paper CB 41203/7018. As at 16th of June, that is the deadline for nomination, the Secretariat has received 8 valid nominations, and the 8 members are shown on the screen: Mr. Tommy Zhang, Mr. Paul Zhang, Ms. Claudia Mo, Mr. Kenneth Low, Ms. Alice MacDonald, Dennis Kwok, and Mr. Horace Zhang, and Mr. Tony Z. Because the number of nominations exceeded the seats, we have to elect members to join the committee. As soon as the election is completed, we will suspend the House Committee meeting for the committee to elect among themselves the chairman and deputy chairman, and then we will resume the meeting of the House Committee. Please note the nominations, and please tap this on the screen. Members you would like to elect. You can choose no more than 7 members. Mr. Garicha, I note that some members are not here. Can we ring the bell to call them back? Is that allowed? We don't have this rule so far. But well, in the past, we don't have this rule either. All right, we're going to put this item to the vote. I appeal to members to come down to vote. Ms. Alice Mack, do we have to pick 7 members, or you can only choose up to 7 members. You can choose in between 1 and 7 members, no more than that. Any other points of order? All right. If there are no, Chairman, I have a question. Mr. Abraham Sheikh. There are 8 members. I'd like to hear from them the reasons why they would like to join. Mr. Abraham Sheikh. We have been very hardworking this term, and I think we have made history in terms of establishment of investment committee for similar procedures in election of members. I have not allowed nominated members to state their platform. Now we are already close to 2 years into this term. I think members are familiar with the mode of operation of this council, so I don't think we need such a discussion. All right, please, Mr. Pose. I know a valid nomination includes nominated a seconder and also for the person to be accepted. I'm quite worried. I was quite worried that I couldn't come back to this meeting in time. So election procedures have been sent to members through our HC papers beforehand. We all understand the procedures established. And prior to the deadline of nomination, 8 valid nominations have been received by the Secretary. I read out the names again: Mr. Tommy Zhang, Mr. Paul Zhe, Ms. Claudia Mo, Mr. Kenneth Leung, Ms. Alice Mack, Mr. Dennis Kwok, Mr. Zhang Kwok Kwan, and Mr. Tony Z. Unless they have objection to their being nominated, unless they express any desire to reject the application, otherwise they are all considered valid. Mr. Zhang Kwok Kwan, what is your question? We've only got 8 big candidates, but I'm sure the competition will be fierce since there are only 7 seats. Should there be a tie, what are we going to do? I want to prevent any arguments afterwards. Well, if there is a tie, we will have a second round of balloting. I know that some members are rushing back for the election. This is a natural, so may I appeal members who would like to take part in this voting to come back. The President has once been asked to give a reasonable time for members to come back to vote. All right, please, on your tablet, tap the names of candidates you prefer. You may choose up to 7 members. Please note that for the name you have tapped, the color will become green. Please check. Oh, I have yet to vote. Please allow me some time to vote. I apologize. I also have the right to vote. I was trying to explain the procedures to members just now. All right, how many are there members who need more time to vote? Well, 2 days, that's not possible. I gave you 1 minute to speak, Mr. Ray Chen. All right, are we all done? None of us has asked for extra time. Please check your votes. Please confirm that the names that you have picked on your tablet have turned green. Please ensure that names you have picked on your tablet have turned green. It's okay. Dr. Zhang Laiwan, please proceed to vote as soon as possible. Well, this has always been the practice. I have not deliberately stalled the whole procedure. So, any member who would like to have more time, please? No need. You just ensure that the name you have tapped have turned green. Mr. Wu Jiwai, do you intend to vote? Mr. Wu has entered the room, so I will allow him the chance to vote. So if you've chosen not to do so, all right? Voting is closed. Secretariat, please display the results. Read out the number of votes each candidate gets. Mr. Tommy John, 36. Paul Zhe, 35. Claudia Mo, 16. Kenneth Leung, 18. Alice Mack, 36. Dennis Kwok, 17. Chang Kwok Kwan, 36. Tony Z, 36. So the 7 members who have got the highest number of votes are elected. Mr. Tommy John, Mr. Paul Zhe, Mr. Kenneth Leung, Ms. Alice Mack, Mr. Dennis Kwok, Mr. Chang Kwok Kwan, and Mr. Tony Z. All right, the meeting is suspended for 5 minutes. Members elected will elect among themselves chairman and deputy chairman for the committee. We expect to resume in 5 minutes' time. That is about 3:08 p.m. I hope by that time the elections are over. Thank you.